If you're a villager, I wanted to remind you about our great new improv show coming up on September 29th at 6:30 at the Rohan Recreation Center. The show is for villagers and folks who have a guest pass. It's going to be the funniest show ever with 2 new improv players heading the cast. Reserved seating at tables of 8. Bring your own snacks and favorite adult beverages. Get your tickets at my.allevents.in/improv929. But remember, it's only for villagers who like to laugh.
Welcome to Season 7 of Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. In this show, we talk to leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live in and around the villages. We also talk to people who have information vital to seniors. You will get perspectives of what is happening in the Villages, Florida area. We are a listener-supported podcast. There will be shout-outs for supporters.
This is Mike Roth. Listeners, I'm thrilled to share with you this podcast, my passion project for you. This podcast brings you knowledge, inspiration, and things you need to know about the people and the villages here in Florida. On Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. I'm here today with Dr. Bayoan Martinez-Cruz. Thanks for joining me, Doctor.
It's my pleasure.
You run a concierge medical practice here in the villages.
Actually, it is not a concierge. It's a creation of myself where I charge a fee as a club. Patients get the guarantee of seeing me when they need to see me and know when I want to see them. If I do a concierge, then the fees will be much higher than what I normally charge.
And why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about your background, where you went to medical school, where you interned, and how long have you been here in the villages?
I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, went to medical school back there in the first university in the Americas, founded in 1538, and I came to the United States in 1988, already as a physician. I started practicing at Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx, where I did training in internal medicine. From there, I moved to the Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, the main teaching hospital for Harvard Medical School. I became an instructor in clinical medicine as well as a practicing physician and moved to the villages in 2006. Since then, I have been in the villages area, practicing in the villages.
What drew you to the villages?
Correct. The most important thing is that I do not like big cities. I like countryside, peace, quiet, and I thought that was the ideal location for me because it has all the amenities of a big city, but all the life of a countryside.
You set up your practice here, this concierge club, in 2006?
I was working as a clinician and medical director for a private group. In 2013, I became independent. Too many patients to take care of. I was working about 18 hours per day. And I told my wife that I was certain I would die young, working that hard. So I decided to build a membership where patients pay a fee to be part of the membership, and I take care of those patients, but I was not mandated to have thousands of patients.
I was in Cincinnati, and my doctor there would see 60 patients a day, correct? About 15 minutes each. And one day he said he was going to have a patients meeting, and he rented a big auditorium, and he said, I'm going into the MD VIP concierge practice, and you could join me there for a fee or we'll send your medical records wherever you want them to go. And all of a sudden, he was cut down to 600 patients.
Absolutely. My goal is 1,000 patients. I'm currently in the 800s, but that is a guarantee that if you need to see me tomorrow, I'm open for you.
And that's one of the biggest complaints people have about physicians here in primary care in the villages. If you have the village's health service, I don't know what they're calling themselves now, you could wait a week or more to see a doctor for a condition that might wind you up in the emergency room, where it could be taken care of the same day.
Emergency rooms are not trained to deal with day-to-day issues. They are trained to manage emergency situations. So they are not as great at managing asthma or high blood pressure or diabetes unless they are really out of control. They can do the best they can to bring it down, and then the consequence will be admission to the hospital so we can start the process of adjusting you to the home medication. The medicine that we practice is completely different.
But in the emergency room, they don't know who you are. They don't really know what your true history was. Although I was impressed when I was in Manchester, New Hampshire. I fell on the escalator. My suitcase fell on my wrist, and I had to go to the emergency room. Okay. And by some hook or crook, they were able to see my medical records because they were on the same system as my other doctors. I don't know, but I had 3 or 4 physicians here in the villages, and they were able to pull up my medical records in Manchester, New Hampshire. I thought that was really cool.
The goal originally when we went into electronic medical records was that eventually all the medical records would be interconnected. So we can pull records from anywhere in the United States. But that met resistance because of the risk of privacy being given away. So we haven't been able to fully accomplish that goal. But it would be extraordinarily good for patients when we can interconnect all the electronic medical records. So it doesn't matter where you go, they will have your record there.
It was a good thing when they had every drug that I was taking right there on the screen. The doctor could know what I was allergic to, and that made it a much better visit. So I asked you to come here to talk today about weight loss drugs. There are a number of them out there on the market today in the GLP-1 family that have seemed to have had some success. Are you using those drugs extensively in your practice now?
Yes, there is a restriction, and we're concerned about the price. They are expensive medications. I tell my patients to see it as an investment, the same way they would with plastic surgery. The benefit of weight loss is not only psychological, but also health-wise. It changes the course of many diseases. Today we have potential cures for some conditions, including with this particular group of medication, what is very prevalent today, that is dementia.
Dementia.
Dementia that is unhelp.
How does that work with the GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic and Zepbound?
Correct. The studies show that memory doesn't come back, but it stops getting worse. With the use of the Ozempic or Zepbound, we don't have any data on Roth yet, but it's coming because mono tends to be a combination medication. It's an appetite suppressant, but it also has some hormonal benefits. Monroe is already approved for sleep apnea because it improves patients with sleep apnea. Yes, it has a lot to do with weight loss, but it's being used officially. Insurances like Medicare are paying for patients with sleep apnea to use Monroe.
Yep, we had Peter Bernard on, and he told our audience that he was taking Zepbound to reduce his weight, and he also has reduced his need for his CPAP machine.
There is evidence that it has the potential to cure liver disease, in particular fatty liver disease and liver fibrosis. With the Ozempic, and data shows 63% reduction in liver fibrosis. With the Mounjaro, preliminary data shows up to a 90% decrease in fibrosis. For the audience, liver cirrhosis is basically fibrosis of the liver. The liver, a soft organ, becomes hard like a stone. When medication decreases fibrosis, we are talking about a potential cure for liver cirrhosis. The importance of curing liver cirrhosis is significant. It carries a 50% chance of becoming liver cancer. So when we cure cirrhosis, we are decreasing the potential for liver cancer.
And that's not the same as fatty liver disease.
Fatty liver disease is the deposit of fat in the liver tissue, and it is abnormal. The way I tell my patients to see liver disease is taking them mentally to a supermarket and seeing cow liver, and that is homogeneous coffee ground. Then I tell them, put some yellow spot, and that is fatty liver. The fatty liver has a risk of becoming liver cirrhosis. Liver cirrhosis can become hepatoma or liver cancer.
How is that fatty liver disease diagnosed?
Usually an ultrasound is the best method to diagnose fatty liver disease. Anyone that is fat deposited in the abdomen has fatty liver. It's very common. Millions of Americans have it, even if they don't know it. Alcoholism is one reason, drinking too much alcohol. Diseases like diabetes are also highly associated with fatty liver disease. Today, we call it MASH because it is secondary to metabolic conditions.
I do have a friend who was diagnosed with fatty liver disease, and she was overweight. After 6 months on Ozempic, she slimmed down a lot. She looked a lot better. She told me that she was cured of fatty liver disease and was off Ozempic. Is that a regular occurrence?
That is what we were just talking about with the Ozempic, over 60% decreasing fibrosis and highly chance of curing the liver disease with deposit of fat. With the Mounjaro, the numbers are higher. The same thing happens with weight loss. Ozempic and its brand for weight loss help to decrease about 16% of the body weight. The Mounjaro about 22%. So it's a 6% difference in the reduction of weight between one and the other.
Mounjaro is the newer one.
Today, the manufacturing companies, because of the frequency of obesity or overweight in the population, over 60% of the American population are there, the company decided to sell directly to people for a cash price of $500.
That's Eli Lilly.
Eli Lilly, but also Ozempic did the same thing, and I don't recall exactly what company makes Ozempic.
For what number of doses do you get for $500?
Very good. All the dosages are $500. The maximum dose is 15 milligrams weekly. The one that precedes the 15 milligrams is 12.5. Those ones are just brand new as of a week ago. Before that, they only made it to 10 milligrams. And now you can buy even the 15.
And there are these self-injectable single-use
Correct.
dispenser.
Yes.
How many of those do you get for $500?
4 weeks.
So that's about $125 per week for 4 weeks.
But I can tell you that in a local pharmacy it would be about $1,300.
That's a big difference.
Again, because of the benefits. The two manufacturers of Ozempic and Mounjaro both done those special.
Most of your patients are buying the meds.
Many of my patients find that the medications are too expensive for them. You have to understand that the Villages is a medium to high class community, but there are many of my patients that retired 30 years ago. They are in the high 80s now. The retirement check is low because it's based on 30 years ago.
Mitigating factor.
Correct.
Do you recommend any compounding pharmacies for the drugs?
That is an excellent question. The FDA, as we speak today, has stopped the compounding of those medications, particularly tirzepatide. They are allowed to sell whatever they were left with, but as of July, they are not allowed to make any more. For the people that want to lose weight, there are also pills that we can use. I prescribe a lot of phentermine because it's quite inexpensive. Insurances don't pay for the cost of weight loss medication. The $500 have to come out of the pocket for the injectable. The phentermine costs about $12 to $15 a month, which is a big difference.
Isn't that part of what was called fen-phen?
Correct. The fen-phen was a combination of two medications, very powerful, but one that was the most powerful of the two involved problems in the heart and were pulled out of the market. They left the weakest version, which was phentermine. But nonetheless, in patients that stick to exercise and eat less and healthier, they will lose 6% of their body weight. So if you need to lose 15, 20 pounds, that is a good choice. As a practice, if you fail losing weight on this type of medication, I could add other oral agents or pass you to the injectable. Now you're going to be convinced that you tried your best on something different and inexpensive and didn't do it for you.
If someone goes on one of the GLP-1 drugs for weight loss, does that mean that they have to be on it for the rest of their lives? Or does that mean that as soon as they stop it, they're going to gain back the weight that they lost?
The question is very important because you have to realize that obesity is a chronic disease. When you become obese, you will be obese for the rest of your life. The same way when you have a cancer, you will have it for the rest of your life. And you will have to go to an oncologist for management. We never think that you are cured per se. The same thing happens with obesity. So likely you're going to need to be for the rest of your life on the medication.
Okay, let's go back to the word obesity. Can you give our listeners a good definition of obesity?
We use something called BMI, and the mass index has to be above 30 to be considered obese. And then we have different severities according to the numbers that you accumulate. 30 to 34 is mildly obese, 35 to 39 is moderate obese, and higher than 40 is severely obese. And when you get to 50, then you are called morbidly obese. We cannot forget that there are two types of surgeries that can be done. They work quite well in patients with obesity and actually taught us that we can cure diabetes. When we were doing this type of procedure on patients, lose 100 pounds, they are not diabetic any longer, and that changed many people's lives. There is also a balloon inserted into the stomach that will occupy part of the stomach so you don't have a lot of room to put food, so you will get full very easy. The problem with that balloon is that quite often it moves and induces air, so it's not very successful. There is a lot of failure on this particular procedure. It is not a big surgery, it's something very simple because they put it to the mouth with an endoscope.
So they can pull it out and put a new balloon in.
Correct. And so usually require the balloon to be removed. But the gastric bypass or the more benign procedure help you to lose weight significantly. Important to say that in those patients that get gastric procedure, surgical procedure, they will need vitamins forever because the stomach absorbs, for example, vitamin B12. And those patients usually get very little absorption. So they will need for life iron, folic acid, vitamin B12 in order for them to keep themselves within normal.
Okay, going to take a quick break now and listen to an Alzheimer's tip from Dr. Craig Curtis. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about side effects.
There's a lot that they can do. published actually in the Journal of the American Medical Association, February of 2024, so this month. This was a study done primarily at Rush University in Chicago, looking at those with brain amyloid. So those people that already have amyloid, can a healthy lifestyle protect them from developing dementia? And the answer was yes, by following these five healthy habits that were tracked. And those were, they did not smoke, they did moderate exercise for at least 150 minutes a week. They kept their alcohol consumption to a minimum, approximately 1 to 2 drinks a day, and they regularly stimulated their brain by reading, going to museums, etc. And the final category was how well they followed the MIND diet, or a Mediterranean type diet. And they used autopsies. They actually used approximately 530 autopsies to prove that those that followed those healthy lifestyle habits or had those healthy lifestyle habits actually had less amyloid. It correlated. Those had less amyloid in their brain.
With over 20 years of experience studying brain health, Dr. Curtis's goal is to educate the Villages community on how to live a longer, healthier life. To learn more, visit his website, craigcurtismd.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Dr. Martinez-Cruz, can you talk a little bit about the side effects that you've observed in your patients who are being treated with GLP-1 drugs?
Both of them could cause constipation. Some patients develop diarrhea. So it could be constipation or diarrhea. Normally, either one that you develop, you overcome that if you keep using the medication. The most common side effect that I see in my practice is actually nausea. One of the things that I train my patients to do is have supper, the last meal of the day, at least 4 hours before they go to bed. Because one of the mechanisms that this GLP has, there are 2 mechanisms. One is in the brain, in the satiety center of the brain, where it makes you get full quickly. The second mechanism is slowing your intestinal movement, which can lead to constipation, but also means that the food you ingest will sit in your stomach for a long period of time. If you go to bed too quickly after supper, you're going to have severe acid reflux, and occasionally it can lead to you jumping out of bed to throw up. So it's important to make sure that the patient has supper, the last meal of the day, at least 4 hours before going to bed.
Okay, you're going to make me resign. When I was in kindergarten in Miami, they had lunch, and the teacher told me I always should eat all of my food. And so every day I ate all of my food on my plate. After a while, they gave me a little white pin that looked like a plate with a knife and fork on it. And they said, now you're a member of the Clean Plate Club. So I've been a member of the Clean Plate Club for more than 60 years. I guess I'm going to have to resign from the Clean Plate Club.
There is an important side effect that has been seen with Ozempic, and it is very important to mention. It doesn't happen too often, but some patients can lose their vision.
That's a serious side effect.
With the use of the Ozempic, I have one that lost it in one eye only, but the ophthalmologists swear that it is secondary to the use of Ozempic. We don't have, so far, any information on Mounjaro being related to losing your sight. But it's something that I mention to my patients that they need to check, because as soon as they get a little bit of blurred vision, we need to stop those medications.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Have you heard about Mature Adults with Donna Hoover and Mike Roth? Yes, this is my second podcast, and Donna and I are going to be addressing subjects which are significant for seniors, especially seniors living here in the Villages. The easiest way to hear the show is to look it up on Apple Podcasts. Look for Mature Adults with Donna and Mike. We'll be looking for you there. You can also find us on Mature Adults with Donna and Mike, all spelled out, @buzzsprout.com. I heard from Dr. G last week that those vision studies were done by top ophthalmologists in the Boston area, which kind of puts in a certain bias. But anyway you cut it, losing your sight or any portion of your vision is a very serious condition. And he suggested that could be eliminated if they had proper hydration. And he suggested that if you're on Ozempic or one of the other GLP-1 drugs, you need to drink half of your body weight in ounces every day. So that if you weigh 200 pounds, you'd have to drink 100 ounces of liquid. And I thought, wow, I could never get 100 ounces of liquid into me. That's just way too much.
Correct. And I should mention that even though water is very healthy for all of us, what hydrates you, you need some electrolytes to get hydrated. And that is why when you are dehydrated and you are taken to an emergency room, we give you water with salt. We doctors put a fancy name called saline solution, but that is what we give you to hydrate you. We don't give you glasses of water. We give you saline solution.
I've had problems with statin drugs and getting cramps in my legs. One of my friends told me that when that happens to them, they drink pickle juice. I said, pickle juice? And they said, sure enough, it works for them. Well, I bought some pickle juice in little bottles, and if I ever get a leg cramp, I dilute it with some water, and sure enough, if it doesn't work.
Is the salt in the water of the pickle juice.
I find that much more pleasant than some of these athletic drinks.
But I'm going to tell you another one that is very healthy is the coconut water. Very high in electrolyte.
What kind of water?
Coconut. Oh,
I didn't know about that.
coconut water is probably one of the best things to drink when you have kidney stones.
Comes from coconuts, not coconut milk.
Coconut water.
Water. That's like $10 milk.
It's being sold everywhere, and it is very healthy. During the Vietnam War, soldiers that were wounded, when a surgeon ran out of blood, he decided to give coconut water through the fora, and those patients made it to Germany alive. And so it was found out since then that coconut water is very similar to the plasma in the blood. In case of a big emergency, we can do that too. And that will keep people alive.
I'll have to get some coconuts to put in my hurricane supply room.
The kidney, no, I'm talking about for the kidneys, coconut water is one of the best things, but also for hydration. And the beer is for the kidney stones because it makes you to pee, and the more urine, the smaller the kidney stone gets, and you pass it easier.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. A while ago, I gave up regular alcoholic beer and replaced it with Heineken's 0.0. Is that in the same category?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you that the problem with beers is that it is so high in calories. One bottle has 450 calories. So imagine when you had 2 beers plus supper.
So that's why I went to Heineken's 0.0 because it's got no alcohol in it. It has less calories.
Correct.
And tastes like real beer.
But that probably will help you to develop fat in the belly because of the calorie. The best thing to drink after any meal or with the meal is water. But yes, alcohol in moderation is good for people.
And how much water should a person drink every day?
That is great. You have read many times that it's 8 glasses of 8 ounces of water. But many studies have shown that body will ask you when it is thirsty. There have been cases in which you get water intoxication and you can die from it. You can develop brain edema and die from it. The fact that we give a measure of how much we need to drink is very hard unless you are sick. There is some disconnection between the thirst center in the brain and your body. You should be able to know when you are thirsty and drink to calm the thirst. The truth is that we don't have a real quantity of water to drink.
Is there anything else you want to add, like the Martinez-Cruz?
Yes, there are 2 other medications that we use for weight loss. One is an anti-seizure medication. It was noticed that if patients had migraines, they get under control with this medication. So today, the most common usage of this medication is for migraines. It was also noted that patients would complain that food tastes bad and alcohol tastes really bad. So now it is used for patients who are alcoholic because it changes the taste of what they drink. For patients who want to lose weight, it helps. There is also a combination pill with phentermine to help with weight loss because you not only eat less, but you don't like what you're eating. And that is the name for the medication. Topiramate is used broadly for anxiety disorders and depression, but is the only antidepressant that can help you lose weight. It is called bupropion. People will know it as a Wellbutrin. There is also a medication that comes in combination with the phentermine to lose weight.
BMI for people to get to. 30 is obese. What number below 30 should people strive to get to?
That concern is difficult to put a number on because everyone values their body differently. Women will not tolerate a 26 BMI. That is too high for them. They don't want to look whatsoever overweight. And they will come to me saying, prescribe me something because I need to lose 20 pounds. From here to Christmas, I'm going to a wedding. I need to lose it. The ideal is that when you pass the 28, you start getting concerns about your weight. I want to mention one thing. Two large studies about 15 years apart with no relationship between them. They took people, followed them for years, and published papers saying that the ideal body weight is a BMI of 25 to 29. The reason they chose those numbers in two different studies 15 years apart is because they said if you go to a cruise and come back with vomiting and diarrhea, that is common, your body can tolerate 10 pounds weight loss in 2 days. But if you are in a BMI that is low, you can get gravely ill and even end up in an intensive care unit.
I've heard that GLP-1s can cause pancreatitis, where people can't hold weight on. Is that a common side effect?
I haven't seen any case of pancreatitis in my patients, and I haven't read quite often evidence of pancreatitis. The same thing with thyroid cancer, but it was only done in animals. In real humans, we haven't seen any cases. Now, about the pancreatitis, because of the concern of the pancreatitis, because the earlier generation of the GLP-1 that were used daily and twice a day, they could cause pancreatitis. Every patient that participated in the trial for the medication to get approved got pancreas MRI to start the study. 6 months later and a year later, that was when they realized that the liver was getting better. So they say, oh, we need to do studies on the liver because we noticed that the liver is looking much better. But we haven't had pancreatitis attacks in patients. I remind you, there are millions of people on this medication today. If the truth were that they cause pancreatitis or thyroid cancer, they should be much more common, and we are not seeing it.
Okay, if someone wants to get a hold of you to find out about joining your practice, how do they do that? What is your website that they can go to? Or is there a phone number that they can call?
The easiest way is calling the office at 352-750-6650. There is a web. Okay.
Martinez-Cruz, thanks for being with us today. I know our listeners will really appreciate the information that you provided.
I hope that it will help people to lose weight and get healthier. This is what I do in my patients also. When the patients achieve the goal of the weight, I keep them in maintenance, but it's only once a month. It's just one shot a month rather than weekly. That way the cost decreases. But that is a reminder that they're going to be obese forever and that they need to keep taking medications like we take for blood pressure or cholesterol. That is forever.
Thanks for being with us, listeners. I'm thrilled to share with you this podcast, which is my passion project to bring knowledge, inspiration, and things you need to know about the villages and the people living here. Be sure to hit the follow button to get the newest episode each week. Or you can hit the purple supporter box. Even a small donation of $3 to $10 a month makes a big difference. And you can cancel your subscription at any time. Your support means the world to us. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep those headphones on.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout out for supporters Tweet Coleman, Ed Williams, Dwayne Romick, Paul Sorgan, and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show. If you enjoyed listening, or just tell your friends about the show. We thank everyone for listening. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2025, all rights reserved.